Alright, welcome everyone to some Demise Talks Crawl or Demise's Newbie Corner. I haven't actually figured out which one it is today. But we're going to be talking today about the essence of learning crawl. Now, before we start, I just want to say the microphone thing that people have been discussing in my videos was due to some crossed wires and potentially a faulty USB port. I have since changed the USB port and uncrossed all my wires. If it is still ripping around or it's still making that weird sound, please let me know, and I'm going to have to buy a new microphone. Unfortunately, the Blue Yeti apparently wouldn't have the same quality that I was expecting to have so unlucky me, I guess. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the essence of learning crawl, and that's kind of a tough subject for us to kind of go into because it kind of feels a little bit odd. It's like, there's obviously those arguments that people could make, saying like, oh, why the fuck would I care about playing crawl, you fucking nerd, lol. Why would I ever care about learning crawl? Why would it matter at all? And today, hopefully, I'm going to convince you that it's relevant to do that, and that it's not really sad. Even though, there's arguments to be made that it is a little sad to put that much effort into crawl. But the thing about crawl is that, in my opinion, it's really an interesting thought exercise, and it leads itself to some very interesting, all-encompassing gameplay. And that's like very interesting to me, and I think it's worth pursuing, even though it is a single-player game. Mastery of Crawl is really interesting in general. Anyway, so today we're going to talk a little bit about how we can get better at a faster rate, how to improve, how to break plateaus, and how to do all these crazy cool things. So the outline of today is going to be rambling for several minutes, which we just did. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about passive methods of improvement, playing smarter, not harder, and then I'm going to do something interesting, which I think is kind of cool, but it's probably really sad, but hey, we got to be self-aware about these things. I'm going to bring some economic theory into the mix, and I'm going to try to relate that to crawl, because it's something that I've been learning about a lot in the last year or so, and I actually was going to write a paper about it, but then I was like, do I want to do my master's in economics? Not really, fuck that. And I was just like, I'll just let it go, but I at least want to have one video where I talk about it, and then I'll never talk about it again. I promise. I probably will anyway. So who really benefits from this kind of video? Well, obviously the new players will benefit from this video. They'll understand a little bit how to kind of get the resources that they need to get. But for those of you guys that are breaking out of a plateau, or that you feel like you're not really improving, and there's a couple of metrics that one could conceivably have to, feel like they're not improving. For example, you could feel like in the tournaments you're improving, but you don't feel like you've done anything special. You feel like maybe this certain combo seems to elude you. You don't have you feel like you need luck to win. You feel like you're on a bad streak. These kind of things. Like, I have these feelings as well. I've had these feelings as a new player and as a growing intermediate player, and I really wanted to talk about, breaking through that mentality and having some very, some very good mindsets, some healthy mindsets to improving, because I think that this has a lot of translation to, other games, other aspects of life and whatnot, though it might just be, the poor ramblings of a dumbass like me. But, if you're listening, then maybe you want to change too. And this is how I'm going to go ahead and say it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is passive or out-of-game learning. And by that, I mean stuff that you're doing that isn't directly playing the game. So you can think of this kind of like chess. Chess you can get really good by playing the video game, but the out-of-game learning is kind of like analyzing your own matches, reading books about chess, or doing simulations, playing puzzles, talking about chess to other people, maybe attending a club meeting or something, I don't know, or even just thinking about chess in general when you're not playing the game. And crawl is exactly the same. I like to draw analogies from chess to crawl because I find there's a lot of parallels. But for this slide is not really too helpful, but basically the flow is, for passive and out-of-game learning, you kind of want to immerse yourself in the idea of learning about crawl. So when I pick up a new game, and I pick it up very often, my first couple of hours, I guess, into the franchise, into the series or whatever it is usually just playing the game, figuring out stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll usually head over to a community where I know that the game is kind of relevant. So for example, Reddit's r/DCSS, my Discord, this YouTube channel, I'll look for something like this. And I will, start to take information from the reputable sources. Having said that, there are some things that I want to just put out as caveats that might be like kind of, good to think about. So you want to take from reputable sources, and you want to watch players that have high skill. So if you see someone in a tournament, for example, and they seem to be doing way better than you, well, maybe you can spectate them online. It's free, it's cheap, it's easy. It doesn't cost you anything. It's done on browser. If you're playing online, you basically already have the stuff necessary to watch someone play online. If you can't, well, there's YouTube videos from me, Ultra. We can give you that stopgap experience of talking at you about crawl. And even if you don't even if you don't like actively pay attention to what we're doing, you're kind of understanding what makes the game tick, underlying mechanics, the things that people just do. You kind of just pick it up. So the equivalent of this is if you were playing any competitive game at all, and the first thing you do is basically just go watch someone's replays, go watch a good player's replays, go watch some tournament footage, something to give you that idea of what does this game look like when it's played by a competent player. And that is the first point for passive or out-of-game learning. So for the new players, that's your best possible bet. Now, the one thing I just want to point out is the fact that not every source that you'll meet is reputable. And there are plenty of examples out there that have players making wild, inaccurate claims. And it's often kind of difficult for you to discern who is good, who is not good, who's making the claim, who's right, who's wrong. Reddit is infamous for this, and I'm not saying that as like a way of shit talking Reddit, but because of the way that the game flows, and because of the way the community forms in Reddit, and even arguably Tavern, and even arguably like anywhere you want to talk about crawl, it's often the case that new players will come in, they'll make a discovery about the game, and then they'll post it on Reddit or whatever forum you want, or even Discord. Honestly, like even any Discord, there's no real exception to this, and they will just say something wildly inaccurate, but they will say it with such certainty that you as a new player may or may not understand like whether or not that's full of shit or not. Now, I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm trying to warn the players that are reading it passively to kind of take a more measured approach against it. So when you see something from someone you don't know, you want to question the validity. So you want to ask things like, who made the claim? What evidence do they have to qualify it? And even if they can qualify it, is this information relevant to you? So this is kind of just, you're absorbing the local knowledge, the specific knowledge that you might not be able to encounter in your game. You're exploring things that may or may not be ever really usable in your game. So say, for example, someone talks about playing a Kobold Venom Mage, right? And you don't even know what the hell a mage is. You've started the game and you're playing like a Minotaur fighter, and you're like, oh, what the hell's magic, right? I don't know what that is. Some of the information might not even be relevant to you yet. So don't think too hard about it. I think you should just make sure that you can keep it in mind, question it, question if it's relevant to you, question if it's important, question if it's true. And I'm not saying that what I'm saying by this is not that, oh, if it's not by Demise, don't fucking trust it, just ignore everything blatantly. What I'm more saying is apply a critical lens to the information that you gain consistently, and you will slowly be able to internalize your information much better. I'm going to draw analogies from myself because, again, I'm using my own experience to kind of push through and help you guys understand where I'm coming from. So, for example, if someone tells me something in a Discord about a fighting game, right? If someone tells me something, I'm not going to trust them inherently. I'm going to wait. I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to be very, very careful about, are they a newer player than me? Are they the same player? I don't know where they're coming from. Are they just seeing it from the side of, say, for example, the opponent plays a character and I play my character, and then they say something about my character, like, do I know that they play my character, or are they just like talking out of their ass based on what they see from me, right? It's kind of hard to tell. So when you're reading through your information, just be very careful. And if you do this, you'll be able to gain a a more condensed and more appropriate to you amount of information from the source. So for example, say you go to the wiki, right? The Kroll wiki is infamous for being full of inaccuracies, outdated methods, and all that stuff. Mostly because of the fact that it has a locked editor base. You have to email the devs, I believe, to get the wiki people to have an account to edit, and the game constantly changes, so it's kind of hard to keep up with all the things. Like I said, I'm not blaming anything. I'm not calling any of these communities out. Everyone is doing their best to learn and provide information for the game. But the wiki is honestly sometimes very inaccurate. That's just the truth. Like, it's just a fact. Having said that, there are things that you can learn from the wiki that are very important. In fact, most people start the game just by learning from the wiki. Having said that, like I said, there are some very weird and, oddly specific information sometimes just added by people, and you'll have to sift through that knowledge and be careful to not make misunderstandings for yourself. So again, what I'm trying to do is give you guys the tools to interpret, negotiate, internalize information. I want you to think about these things when you see a claim. Don't just immediately rip straight from it. So how do you know if a player's high skill? Usually just check their their account. You can take a look at their wins, the recency of their wins, because often, you want to see if someone has a 5% win rate, right? But they've won like 100 games in the last 2 months. They're freaking good players. It doesn't matter what their original skill was that cost them all those games. If they're winning like right now, they're good, right? Just keep that in mind. So like if someone plays and you see them and they're clearly knowing what they're doing, maybe it's a good idea to just spectate them and see what's going on. I encourage people to spectate me nowadays. Previously, it was kind of annoying for me because they would message me constantly and I'd just be like recording. But nowadays, I'm just kind of okay with it because like everyone's kind of fine with it, I guess. Everyone's kind of calmed down. So if you do want to spectate me, you can find me on crawl.project357.org, the Australian servers, and you'll be able to see that in all its glory. Keep in mind, though, that usually when I am playing, I am also recording. If you see a Demise 101 game, for example, feel free to drop in. That's just me playing for funsies. That's not me, like, playing for recording. So you can just drop in and I'll talk to you. I'll stop playing. It's fine. Like, it's fine. Discord's a great place. Like, I honestly think that my Discord's a very good place for Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup-ish advice. And the reason why I say that is because I take a very active effort in doing that filtering for you guys. So the second you go into that space, the moment someone says something that feels kind of off, I'm going to go in and attack it. I'm going to make sure that that claim is fully valid. The person knows exactly what they're saying and why they're saying it, and they're qualified to say it to make it so that there's no misunderstanding. So the passive and out-of-game learning boils down to basically watch players that are high skill, take from reputable sources. If you know the source is not reputable or you can't actually determine its reputability, question the validity of the claim itself. Basic stuff, but I just want to get that all out of the way. Here comes the part where we're talking about active improvement. So active improvement is in the game. In the game. What are we doing? Okay. So the obvious things that we can talk about are, pause when you get into a situation with X, pause into blah, 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 do all this cool shit, drink some tea, I don't know. Everyone and their mother can tell you that kind of information. What I'm trying to get you to do is make that decision process a little sharper, make it a little more, a little more clear sometimes. I'm going to make it so hopefully when you guys are playing, when you guys are thinking through these things, you're going to be adding to your arsenal, I guess, of tools. So the way I like to think of this is every situation is like a case in law. So obviously I am a law student, so I know, law student, by the way, yeah! No. So the way that I have been, indoctrinated into the legal system is the precedent system, the common law system, whereby each decision by a judge is added to a database of decisions, to a like a big pool of wisdoms. And every single time that someone wants to pull from that pool, like every time someone sees a similar situation, they'll pull from the pool, and they will, kind of mold that decision into the new one to make it like nice and quick. And if they figure out that the decision they made before was not so great, they'll fix it in the next one and continue on. So the way that I think of it, and the way that has made me really good at playing the game quickly, is just that bang, 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 bang decision making through precedent. The second I see a situation, I'm like, oh, I recognize this. Boom, done, 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 done. And the game is just a series of of decisions that I've seen before. I've seen every scenario, so I just play the best option, or the one that's the quickest and most like reasonable for me, and it's pretty straightforward. So for you guys that are starting out, your precedent's pretty small. You're a lot of the new things that you're seeing are like completely novel cases. You've never seen them before. You have no basis of understanding. However, you can use some of the tools that judges use, like reasoning and inference, to kind of make a hopefully informed decision. And if it doesn't work out, you need to think about each death, and you need to really try to add that to your pool of decisions. Say, for example, you find on D1, you go downstairs, and immediately there's an adder and a dart slug. The adder is next to you, the dart slug's on melee at ranged. Say you're a fully new player, right? The obvious choice for an advanced player is at least walk upstairs or do something, right? That is not just fight the fucking snake and just hope it goes well. New players might just go and fight the snake, and they'll die to the dart slug. They'll die to the snake. They'll die to something, right? The next time you go down that decision path, you'll be like, hold the fucking phone here. The second I went and fought that goddamn snake on the downstairs, I died. So what am I going to do this time? Not die. And, maybe you will still die. It might be the case that you will still die, but that's part of learning. You need to refine your decision making by reflecting each time. Taking the time to think about your decision will make you far better as a player than just bang, 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 playing all the games you can as much as you can, right? It's gonna be, you need to think about where your marginal productivity kind of falls. Playing the game for 6 hours straight, yeah, it'll get you better, but you're gonna be on autopilot for most of it. You're better off just kind of thinking and thinking and thinking. So, one of the good ways to do this is through morgue file analysis. So every single time you die, you leave behind a morgue. In offline, you can find that in your main game files, and I believe it's like morgues immediately, or it's like data morgue, something like that. But you can then sort by date and just click on the latest one. It's a TXT file, and it will give you all of the information of your character at the moment of their death or victory. Now, every single morgue can teach you something, assuming that you are learning at the pace that I'm explaining, like that I'm kind of hypothesizing that you could. If you're reflecting through your decision making, if you're thinking actively about these things, and you're analyzing morgues, you will very quickly improve, like insanely quickly. Like to the point where like if you actually took the time to do it, within 20 games, you'll have tripled your progress. Like it's crazy how fast you could improve just by diagnosis, reflection, and then implementation of that. If you want to figure out what you should look for in a morgue analysis, you should check out some of my morgue analysis videos, which I will be doing, by the way, in the future as well, pending. And in those videos, basically what I do is I diagnose a character. I look at, okay, how did they die? What were they doing wrong with the skilling? What were they doing wrong with the position? What were they doing wrong with the item usage? Anything that they were neglecting or anything, even down to the actions taken. Like, what are you not doing? These kind of things can be thought of. And generally, this one's kind of a bit of a weird one from your boy Demise, because, as we all know, Demise has been, I don't know why I'm referring to myself in the third person, but, as we all know, me as a channel, I've always said to you guys, stick to just plain Jane until you at least win your first game. But that advice only kind of, gets you to that first win, and then after that it's a little bit, I have made the entire Greater Player run for you guys to watch. It's the full thing. Like, it's the full beginner's grade player run. It has a full path that you can follow. That is fine. That's also good to follow. But some people will just want to play something different. And that's fine. I think that burning out of this game by playing the same shit over and over again, it makes the game lose its magic. You gotta remember that Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup is a game. At the end of the day, if you're not having fun with Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, why the fuck are you playing? Now, I hope that half my audience didn't just quit on the spot there, but what I'm trying to point out with this is that if you like playing a mage, go fucking play a mage, dude. Play as many mages as you goddamn want, okay? As long as you're refining your decision making and doing Morg analysis and making some passive / out-of-game learning, play whatever the fuck you want. The reason why I always say stick to my plan is because people don't do this. People just, fuck it, whatever, blah, 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 yeah. I died over there, I died over there. What's going on? Oh, I died another 4 times. Oh, shit, what's going on? I can't even see right now. I'm just playing with my mind. What the fuck is happening, right? If you're actually thinking, using your brain, using your eyes, using your ears, using your fingers, touch the screen, what's going on? Tactile. You will actually be able to improve no matter what you're playing. Obviously, there are some caveats to that. Like, ideally, you don't play Feel It. Ideally, you don't play Octopode. Fine, play them, whatever the fuck you want. There are plenty of people who can get really good at Octopode. There are plenty of people that have done it. Kaguru or Feel It Master Race streaked all of them in a row, like every Feel It. Fine. It's doable. It's perfectly good. But I only am suggesting the path of least resistance, but that path may not be uniform for every player. I understand that people who want to play different things will play different things, and they will improve faster if they enjoy what they're doing. So just think about it like that. So, and to the intermediate players, this is also really relevant. If you feel Gordon, I know you're listening to this. He got caught out. He knew. If you only play melee, dude, and you want to play mage, your best bet is to just keep playing mages and use this active improvement. Use this passive out-of-game learning. Try really hard to just focus and think about what the hell you're doing with your mages, man. And you will be able to improve regardless of whether or not you feel like you're improving. You will improve. This game is not impossible. It has definitely been almost like... It's been pretty much solved at this point, to the point where someone can win reliably 50% of the time on average while playing it in absurd speeds, like winning mages in sub 3, winning melees in sub 1, or at 1 hour exactly. It's like, the game is doable, just put your mind to it. It's good. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is a little bit of an aside, and honestly, I'm not sure if I'm just rambling at this point, but we're going to talk a little bit about your boy Adam Smith. The founder of economics. No, he's just some bloke who made some fucking economics thing, and now everyone is like, this man saved my life. He saved economics. This guy made economics too, basically. But we're going to talk about the human capital theory, boys. All right, so the human capital theory is an economic theory. It's an extension of Adam Smith's something. 2 guys were like, hey, humans, capital. And then that was it. They just capitalized the H. Call it a day. They both got Nobel Peace Prizes. There we go. Easy peasy, right? So basically the way that it works in economics is that it says that, okay, education is a way of molding a person to increase their social capital, their human capital, which means their skill set. And it makes them faster to adapt and learn. And because they can adapt and learn faster, they are more productive economic agents, which means that they will be more desirable by firms who will then hire them at a higher wage. This is contrasted to the signaling theory, which indicates that education does fuck all nothing. The process of education is worthless. The only thing that's important is a big old rubber stamp, boom, right in the middle of your fucking certificate. And that shit, the second you have it, makes you marked as a high productivity worker, meaning that employers will know automatically that you have that stamp, boom, I'm hiring you. You're a good guy. Now, the economic theory of human capital, as applied to my own life and to Crawl, is that Your application of your own theories and strategies of yourself make you better at everything else. AKA, this is cross-training at its finest. From Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, I have cross-training all over the gap. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically this. If I play a game and I play it really well, and then I switch over to another game, I'll be really good at that thing, right? I'll be good at that game as well. So this is pretty common if you watch like professional players for any game. If they play another game, they're automatically going to be better than the other players. They'll improve faster. They'll get better at things. But some people just aren't aware of the fact that they're skilled at things in life. They're just not aware of it. They struggle through life because they don't seem to apply themselves as fully as possible. And I think that's a pretty sad thing. And I think that all of us have that little bit of extra spark that makes things a little easier if you think about it in the way that I think about it. So for me, let's use my example of fighting games, right? I've actually applied so much of the knowledge and the theories that I've learned from Crawl, the theories that I've learned from education, the theories that I've learned from League, from Hearthstone, from chess. All of these things have pushed into my Crawl study, my fighting game experience, and it's made me grow as a player extremely quickly, way faster than most people at my level. Simply because I'm able to take the experiences that I learned from Crawl, like active decision making. I've taken the precedent system. I've taken all these things. You can even see in this video that I've made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, or even through this channel, of links between all the things that I do in my life. Because it's really just that simple. Everything in this world has some connection to another thing. And it's all up to you whether or not you can figure out how to apply your connections to kind of use it as leverage to improve yourself faster, as a springboard, kind of. So the way you attack a scenario and you improve flows in from your experiences in real life. And by your experiences in real life, I mean a lot of things. It could be quite literally anything. It could be how you approach organization skills, how you approach, a problem, how you attack study habits, how you attack a job, a project, right? How do you do any of these things? The same can be thought of as to Crawl. And that's honestly a very exhausting thing for people to do. It's exhausting for people to realize that to improve takes time and a lot of effort. But I think that, honestly, like I said, the reason why I think that improving in Crawl is a valuable thing to do is because it teaches you how to improve in a lot of other things. Without Crawl, I wouldn't be the player that I am in all the other games that I play. Without those games, I wouldn't be the Crawl player that I am. I wouldn't be the person that I am. All these things shape my experience. And my education, even though arguably my education is kind of garbage, well, sorry, I'm just shit talking my first degree. It's actually okay. But even though it's not really, ideal for me, I don't really like it that much, I always apply all the things that I've learned from gamification from games to study. I've applied quota systems for amounts of work done. I've attempted to, explain to myself that if I do the tedious thing, I get the free mark, and it's guaranteed. All the things that I've learned from, replay analysis, morgue file analysis, reading up on the community, engaging with the community, asking relevant questions. All these things come from other places in life, and it's nothing to do with intelligence. It's nothing to do with natural talent. There is no natural. This is a fucking video game, dude. It's a video game where you don't even have to take time. It pauses when you stop playing. It's fucking weird, but it's true. I didn't know this until I was triple grader player. I didn't know that you could pause this video game. I just assumed, oh my god, the clock's running every second. Go as fast as you can. So you can actually pause this game. So there is no such thing as talent, really. Everyone can make the best play ever if they want to. So basically my idea for you guys is to think about what you have in life that makes you, what you excel in, what you feel you have a strong passion in, and take those things, apply it to Crawl. Try to find some connection. Try to find some way of thinking. And I can't really explain to you my way of thinking because honestly, it's very personal in that it's very personalized. It's very difficult for me to explain to you how I approach the game, how I approach any game, without explaining to you every single one of my experiences from all my other games, right? Right now, I'm using my my crawl theory. I'm using all the things that I learned as a crawl player to kind of push into Skullgirls. And I know that I've been talking a lot about Skullgirls on the channel, but that's because it's the game that I've been playing the most these days. I'm doing replay analysis. I'm doing Morg analysis, basically. Whenever I lose, I'm doing matchup analysis. I'm understanding how mechanics work. I'm trying to figure out all this stuff at the same time. I'm doing all the active and passive things. I'm engaging in the community. I'm asking relevant questions. I'm pushing myself further and further and further. And hopefully one day, I'll come out the other side as a competent player, and that will be enough joy for me. For those of you guys that want to, hear the tail end of that sentence properly, check out my 5,000 word thesis that is available on my Patreon account. Just kidding, no. My 5,000 word thesis is not publishable because it doesn't have an ethics approval. But yeah, I've actually written an essay or a research critical practice thesis, I guess, for my final year in university for my first degree, regarding the motivations of play using Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup as a reference. It's a pretty interesting essay topic. It's really nerdy, obviously, but look, we're all fucking playing Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. We're all nerds. I keep making this assumption. There's one guy here with a fucking polo shirt and like big ass sunglasses staring at his computer like, fucking nerd, lol. And then he smashes a fucking brewski against his head and he's like, yeah, drink all that shit. But like, I'm sure that guy probably died of a horrible concussion. He probably just pierced his brain with that beer bottle. Rest in peace, Chad. Anyway, that's it for me today. We've hit over 30 minutes. I was going to talk about more stuff. Here's some Skullgirls art, but everyone from Skullgirls is... they're all Animal Crossing characters. I love Animal Crossing, man. I love Animal Crossing so much. I love Skullgirls. This shit is so good. Ink trashing at Tumblr. I actually have these two characters, this one and this one, on my fight stick. So it's really sick. Badass. Anyway. Shit. Did I even talk about breaking out of plateaus? Okay, well, the general idea of it, I might do this in another video, but the general idea of breaking a plateau is do these things even if they're fucking boring, because they're the things that make you get good at this game. They're the things that make you really good. The slow graded player run, though I might be cancelling it because it's just too slow, I have to do it on my own time, is tedious as fuck. But you can already see that in my next game, I'm now using manual explore in the beginning of the levels. I'm actually doing that now, consciously. It's that one run was able to kind of already bump up my safety level by like 5%, and I'm already like, compared to the average player, not compared to the average high level player, but the average player, I'm incredibly safe. I'm making very safe decisions comparatively. But this has bumped me up by, even more than that. So hopefully I don't lose anymore. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to have another thing that you want me to talk about, if you have any questions, leave a comment. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, because it helps me know that these videos are appreciated. And of course, it basically gives me a better incentive to do a good job for the next one. Eventually, one day, I will be able to upload, to edit a video and, upload some cool shit, but we'll have to wait till the holidays. Anyway, stream's gonna happen. I keep rambling, but stream is gonna happen sometime this week. I hope. I really hope. It's probably tomorrow. It might be the day after. I don't know. Please don't. I'm so sad. I know I should stream, but I'm so tired sometimes. Anyway, goodbye.